Hey everybody, welcome to day 2. So it's going to be another quick practice. Today's practice is going to be on the ground the entire time. And you can see I'm just wearing casual summertime outfit. And what I'm hoping over the 30 days that we're together, that you see that it just can be so easy. I'm telling myself that as well as you. So we're going to have a seat on the floor. You don't need any supports today. Just simply your mat, or if you prefer to be outside, you could also just do this in the grass. It's going to be just on the ground. So we're just going to play with our bodies a little bit. Yesterday's practice was all standing up. Today's practice will be all on the floor. So we're going to do some seated work, but then we're going to start on our backs today. So go ahead and just come down to your back. For me, I like to have my knees up. Just this helps support my back. Totally your preference. If you would like to start just in a Shavasana type posture with the legs completely straight down, that's perfect too. Just tune into your body. So I like to have my hands on my body somewhere to start. And as I invited you yesterday, let's just start by closing our eyes and coming back to the abundance of our breath. So take a long breath in, that balloon breath, we fill it up. And a long breath out. I like to open my mouth on the exhale. Take a long breath in. And a long breath out. Take one more just like that. Begin to open your eyes and just look at the ceiling in the room that you happen to be practicing in. Or if you're outside, notice the color of the sky or the clouds. Maybe there's a tree over there. I'm fortunate enough to be in studio today, and I have skylights in the ceiling, so I see a little twinkling of blue, a tree outside my window. The walls and the ceiling are sort of a woodsy brown. Just paying attention to what's around us, colors, shapes, textures. Maybe your eyes can drift out the window and you see signs of abundance, full trees, warm sun. Bring your knees in towards your chest, and we're going to tee out our arms. You can have your palms up for this, especially if you're feeling like there's a little bit of closure along the chest. Having your palms rotated up, if you remember from yesterday with the palms facing forward, just as a tiny, subtle heart opener. If you're feeling a little bit discombobulated and scattered, it might feel great to have your palms face down, which is just sort of a gesture of needing to be grounded. Take a breath here. On your exhale, we're going to drop the knees over to the left. Turn your head to the right. It's a pretty natural turn. It's amazing when we pay attention. Our bodies really know exactly what to do. Sometimes we just need a little push along the path. Just feel the rotation of the spine here, working to get the right shoulder to melt into the mat. It's always nice. If it's not there, that's okay. Next time you inhale, we're going to bring the knees back to the sky and just let them float on over to the right. Notice exactly how your head knows where to go. So it might just drift slightly to the left. And again, feeling that rotation of the spine, feeling the left shoulder melt into the floor. Next in-breath, knees are going to rise, and we're just going to go side to side. Okay, following our breath, exhale down, inhale to sky, exhale right. Okay, we're getting a little massage for the sacrum here. One more time each side. That lower part of our spine, that triangular bone, is pushing along the mat or the grass or wherever you're practicing. Come back
to center, lower both feet to the mat. We're gonna extend the right leg to the sky and then grab your right leg. We're just gonna have a little bit of support here. You'll notice my right leg is not straight. I'm very, very tight, but I'm just gonna pay attention to that and not judge it to a place where I shouldn't be doing this or something's right or wrong. Take your toes and just begin to draw circles. Sometimes we forget about our little ankles down there. They do a lot for us. There's a lot of steps we take. And maybe circle the other direction. Fantastic. Now, point your toes to the sky, and then we're gonna have a hard flex. The heel goes up, okay? So we're gonna inhale to point, exhale to push the heel up. So we're starting to find a little bit of heat in the calf. Just follow your breath. Inhale to point, exhale, heel presses, or we flex. Okay, we're just gonna take about 5 of those. We're really starting to feel some lengthening happening in the calf. Another muscle we use a lot, but we rarely pay attention to. Perfect. Now we're gonna start to float the right leg a little closer towards the chest. And now I'm not yanking on my leg. I'm just saying, hey, come along with me. It's okay if it's bent like mine. It doesn't have to be straight. Okay, so I'm starting to feel a deep stretch from the glute into the hamstring. Beautiful. Take just a couple breaths here. Now we're going to take the right leg and we're going to cross it over the left. And I've made this figure 4. I'm going to push my right knee away and then grab my left leg and bring both into the chest. So you will feel a deep stretch in the glute muscle, the hamstring, and what we call the piriformis, which is a tiny little cranky muscle underneath the glute muscles. Okay, so figure 4 stretch. If this is too much, just lower the left foot and just stay in that first step of the figure 4. Now, you can tip over to the left just slightly, maybe 5 inches, and you'll feel a nice stretch through that muscle. And take a breath. Empty the breath. Take a breath. Maybe squeeze a little tighter. Empty the breath. You have one more full inhale and full exhale. Come back to a neutral spine. Uncross the right foot. Lower the right foot to the mat. Your hands are already around the left leg, so extend the left leg to the sky. Begin with those ankle circles. Okay, so depending on if you've had injury, maybe something's going on with your feet or your ankle. This side might be very different. For me, my left side's very different. Circle the other way. It would be easy for me to analyze and criticize and think that there's something wrong, but instead I'm just going to give this side of my body a little extra love. Begin to point the toes and then flex, really paying attention to the quad. Inhale to point. Exhale to flex. So take about 5 of those. If the mind gets busy with what's next or what's coming or what's happening outside you, just bring your awareness back to what you're feeling in your body. Little tighter grip of the hamstring and begin to float it towards the chest. So I'm not yanking and making pain. I'm just giving gentle little guidance of my left leg. Now, you can also opt to straighten the right leg. That gives a little deeper stretch. I'm going to go with the shorter version today just because I'm feeling a little bit tight in the body. I'm going to take my left leg, cross it over the right, and then push my left knee away. I've made that figure 4. This is a nice place to be. You're still getting a nice stretch. If you'd like a little more, grab your right leg and begin to squeeze in. Once you find your squeeze, tip over about 5 inches to the right. You'll feel the left hip get a nice stretch. We're going to take 3 pretty hefty, good, meaningful breaths. Taking a long breath in here. And a long breath out. And a long breath in. Feeling sensation in the body. One more. Begin Begin to slip the left foot off of the right. Bring both feet down to the mat. Walk your feet a little bit wider. So my feet are actually on the floor, just on the outside edge of my mat. I'm gonna do some windshield wipers. So it doesn't matter which direction you start. We're just getting a little bit of looseness in through the hips. We'll take 2 more each side. It's a beautiful way to begin the day, loosening up the stiffness that we get from sleeping. And then drop your knees over to the right. Use your left hand to press yourself up. I'm gonna stay facing you this way, but I'm sitting on my right cheek and my legs are to the left. We come into this particular version of a twist quite often in my studio classes. My right hand's gonna be down on the mat, left hand is on the hip crest, so that just that round part of your pelvis. You're gonna inhale and press the left hip forward. Exhale, tuck it back, navel draws in. Inhale, belly goes forward, hip goes forward. Exhale, pelvic tuck and pull in. Take 3 of those, okay? Just really get some good movement in the low back and in the hips. And as a result, you have less stiffness in the back. 1 more tuck here. Beautiful, come to a straight spine. I'm gonna take the left hand around to the outside of the right thigh. This is beautiful twist of the spine. I'm gonna take a breath in here and turn your head and look over your right shoulder. Just look behind you. Should feel pretty amazing. Bring your eyes back to neutral or towards the camera, and then walk your body down to your forearms. This may be too much, okay? If it's too much pull through this portion of our body that gets very, very tight, especially if we do a lot of sitting, then come back to your hands. I'm gonna go ahead and stay with my forearms. Drop your eyes towards your right hip. Take a few breaths here. One more long inhale and long exhale. If you're on your forearms, return to your hands and begin to walk back and turning your belly back to front. We're gonna stay here just for another stretch. Left hand finds your left leg, right hand goes to the sky, we get a big side bend. So now we're starting to find that space through the right side body. You might take your left hand and bring it over to the outside of your right thigh and give a little bit of traction there to deepen that twist. Take a breath and then return the right hand to the mat. We're gonna stay in this position, but we're gonna straighten the left leg. So I'm on my right cheek, left leg goes straight. I'm gonna turn my torso towards my left leg. Arms are gonna extend to the sky. If it's too much on your back, keep your hands down below. And then aim your heart towards your toes. So we're not dumping and rounding right away. We're really pushing the heart forward. We're gonna take another breath. Push the heart forward. 1 more breath. Now we round the spine. If it's painful for your bent knee, your right knee, this particular side, slide your foot down your leg just a little bit so you have less flexion in the knee. Let your eyes travel to your heart. Take a few breaths. On your next in-breath, begin to rebuild your spine, just as we did yesterday, stacking the vertebrae, one on top of the other. 1 more twist here. Left hand travels around to the right knee. Take a long breath in. Turn and look over your right shoulder. Lots of twists today. Come back to center. Let's take that series to the other side. So you're gonna lean back, switch your legs over to the right. You're primarily on your left cheek here. Bring your right hand to your right hip, left hand to the mat. We're gonna inhale, push the hip forward. Exhale, tuck the pelvis, draw the belly in. So we're using our arm to manipulate the hip just a little bit, but we're also using our core muscles to make this motion. Pelvic tucks are one of the greatest things that we forget about, and this is a great way to access it while also getting into the hip. Inhale, 1 more time forward. Exhale, tuck. Fantastic, beautiful. Sit really tall. Bring your right hand around to outside of your left leg. Remember, this might be enough, Feel a big stretch through the right psoas muscle and into the hip. Take a breath. You're gonna look over your left shoulder. Ooh. Breathe into the tightness. Bring your head back to neutral. You can stay here, or you can walk down to your forearms and then drop your chin wherever you're at. So even if you're up by your hands still, just drop your chin, you'll get a nice stretch for your neck. If you've come to your forearms, let your head just hang and look at your heart or your left hip. Maybe close your eyes and just pay attention again to the breath. We just have a couple here. If you're on your forearms, return to your hands. And then begin to walk your hands closer to your body. Turn your belly back to front. Keep the weight of your body on your left cheek. We're going to extend the right leg at a diagonal. Turn your torso towards the right leg. Remember, you can reach up to find some space, or you can leave your hands down by your side or even at your heart here. And then we're aiming our heart towards our right toes. We're not just rounding and dumping first, we're creating some space. Take a breath. And push your heart towards your right toes, okay? This can be very different side to side, so try not to get caught up in what's wrong or right about a particular side, and just instead, just be with what is. We practice so many lessons here on this rectangle to apply to our life, and when we stop comparing and stop competing and stop analyzing and stop thinking so much about being right or wrong, or is it good or bad, and we just lean into what is, what our body is speaking, that language that we forget sometimes or we don't listen to, we can apply that to our life when we're in traffic or we're having a heavy conversation with someone. Try not to think so much and instead just be with what is. Go ahead and rise on up. Oh, so good. Let's take one more final twist. Take your right hand to your left knee, take a breath in, and we're gonna spin. Spin on around. You should feel a nice opening here. Come back to center. We're gonna close our feet like pages of a book. Okay, so can be uncomfortable for some of us. If it is uncomfortable, just grab a pillow and elevate your hips. If it's too much to bring your feet close, bring your feet a little bit wider. So my left hip is very, very cranky. It does not like this open shape, although I know that it's good for it. So I'm gonna be very, very mindful here. My hands are gonna travel down to my ankles. You might be at your knees, just to make sure that you're not slouching through the spine, but we're sitting nice and tall. And again, the heart is going to lead forward as we're hinging from the hip crease, okay? So we're really taking the heart forward. We won't be here long. This is a big hip opener, but we've done some of that work through those windshield wiper twists, through what we just did with the seated twist, the figure fours, okay? Couple breaths here. Maybe close your eyes. Begin to straighten the spine if you've hinged. Close your knees, straighten your legs out in front. I like to scooch forward just a little bit. That takes the little fleshy part of my glute and gets it out of the way so my butt bones are fully straight down into the floor. And then I'm gonna circle the arms up to the sky. If it's too painful on your shoulders, don't do it. We're gonna pull to one side, okay? Come back to center, grab your other arm and pull. Beautiful, back to center, lower your hands. I'm bringing my hands behind me. I'm gonna lean back onto my straight arms, squeeze my shoulder blades, point my toes, lift my nose to the sky, take a long breath in. We're opening up that front seam of the body. And come on back. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and turn back to the original position of my mat. So I'm gonna swing my legs around, and then I'm gonna sit really tall. We have one little core work, and then we're gonna melt our bodies back to the spine. So I'm hoping that you can see the variation of a practice. You can include both seated postures and standing postures, or you can just have a practice where you decide to stay on the floor for the time, or maybe stay standing for the time. So grab your hands behind your thighs. Notice my spine is super straight here. I'm gonna lean back just slightly. I'm gonna take an arm and lift a leg, and I'm gonna lift another leg. Okay, so this is a beautiful place to be. If it's too much, just lower your feet. Keep your hands on your hamstrings. You're still working your core by maintaining this straight spine. You can also take your hands away, and this is your version of boat pose, and there's nothing wrong with this. If you'd like a little bit more, you're gonna lift the legs, work the balance a little bit, and hold here, okay? Eyes are up towards where the wall and the ceiling connect. The belly might be shaking. You can hold on to your legs or not. Take a breath. On your exhale, melt all the way down. Just lay back down onto the mat where we began. Hug your knees into your chest. And just massage your back a little bit, okay? It was a tiny little bit of core work. The good news is we're gonna do it one more time. We're just rolling out the spine here, giving a little relief, giving a little massage. Hook your hands behind your hamstrings, rock and roll on up. Maybe find your balance right away. Maybe not. This time I'm gonna hold on to my hamstrings. I'm gonna take 3 breaths here. So elevate the heart, it's suspended to the ceiling, eyes are up. Exhale. You only have 2 more breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more. On the exhale, we melt, tuck the pelvis under, and lay all the way down. Hug those knees into the chest. Bring your hands on top of your knees, separate your knees wide. Get a nice little opening through the inner thighs. You can stay just like this, or you can grab a hold of your feet and come into what we call happy baby, putting pressure, feet into hands, hands into feet. Nice final stretch of the hamstring here. Take a breath. And then slip your hands gently off of the feet. Hug your knees one more time into your chest. And then we're going to find our final pose, which will be a traditional Shavasana today. I'm going to come to the version that I like for my back, which is my knees tripoding together, like it's called Fallen Bridge. I like to place my right hand on my belly, left hand on my heart, just connecting my spirit into my body, connecting my energy into my body, feeling the rhythm of my breath. We'll take a long breath in together and a long breath out. Close your eyes, let them become heavy in the body. And as we settle into this beautiful grounding practice today, we recognize the abundance in our life in terms of feeling content. Areas of our life where we feel okay, good in the body. We feel good in our work. We feel content with our family, our friends, our relationships. Content with what is. When we recognize the goodness in our lives through practice of gratitude, there naturally comes a contentment. We're not seeking or grabbing. We even slow down maybe our growth to enjoy the season, and we're reaping some benefits of the work that we've done this year. We find August to be a little more playful. Those long, hot dog days of summer, they say, where we treat ourselves to lemonades and popsicles and porch swings. All versions of contentment and abundance. And of course, you are more than welcome to stay in your Shavasana as long as you would like, whatever feels good for you. 2 to 5 minutes is perfect. And I look forward to seeing you soon. I'll see you tomorrow.